The information provided on Dr. Tom Roselle Live by Dr. Tom Roselle, D.C., interview guests, show co-hosts, or substitute hosts is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. It is for general information purposes only. Information from this broadcast should not replace the appropriate consultation and examination process by a licensed physician. Always consult your own physician prior to changing.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Ageless Health with yours truly, Dr. Tom. And got another program that I think that you're going to be thoughtful about, a little fascinated by, things that you need to know a little bit more about. And that's what we do here. We try to make sure that you have a snippet of what's really going on in your body and how to change things so your health stays stronger on an ongoing basis. Our next in-house program at the Roselle Center for Healing coming up is going to be on immunological conditions and so forth. But what we're going to be talking about, if you will, is your body's capacity, your immunological response as it relates to everything that's around you, all the external impact. And when your body's influenced by its environment, what we call an epigenetic impact. Here's what the deal is. You are susceptible based on your surrounding. Now, what does that mean? That means your immune system, your innate immune system, your body's genetic ability to protect you is being insulted. So if that's the case, if that's true, do you have the option, the opportunity to restore, to resolve, to fix things? The short answer is yes, absolutely, positively, you do. So as we talk about immunological function and impact, I want you to understand that we're really talking about you. We're talking about your defense mechanism. So what are we exposed to? What things can make us, in many cases, not so well? So if we go down the path of a beautiful garden and we're walking with a friend and the friend says, "Oh my gosh, this is glorious, this is beautiful, this is amazing," and we start sneezing and hacking and coughing and so forth, what's the difference? Is it a lack of drugs in our body, something that we have to go out, the nose dope, the inhalants, Afrin, those kind of things? Or is it our body's inability to support the minor irritations now become a major irritation? What happens if we go on an airplane ride and, you got a full plane, 150 some people on the plane, small plane, and you got 2 or 3 people in the back of the bus, the airplane, that are coughing? Don't think too much about it. And you leave, and about 3 or 4 days later, you find that you're coughing. Is it because the exposure that you had to those people that are coughing, or is it a failure in your body's immunological system to fight that exposure? Now, here's the deal. If you're around all kinds of irritations, you're a cigarette smoker. That's an insult to your respiratory system. If you're around noxious fumes, as my parents were back in the day when they were hairdressers, when everybody smoked, and the smells of all the the dyes and the permanent wave solutions and the aldehydes for fingernail polish remover and those things, were those irritants on an ongoing basis? That's called yes. So immunologically, your body's trying to defend itself on a continual basis. Pretty soon, it says, "I can't do this anymore." Pretty soon, the body begins to show the signs of it's not being able to do this anymore, meaning now we're exposed to what? Bugs, viruses, mold, fungus, that we should be able to defend ourselves and fight off and keep in a healthy state. But now we start coughing. Now we start hacking. Now we have a fever. Now we're wheezing. And those things, we wonder, well, what happened to me? I must have been exposed to something. The truth is, you're exposed all the time. there's not a time when we go outside, whether you have a mask on or you're covered up with all kinds of things, whether you're socially distanced or anything like that, you're still being exposed on different levels. The environment, the air has exposures. In the springtime, which we are right now in good old Washington, D.C. area, the mid-Atlantic region, you're exposed to all the pollens and the spores in the ground, the mold, the fungus, the rotting, and so forth. You're exposed to those things. So when you are, they're a constant irritation, but your body's innate immune system should be able to kick in and say, hey, things are good, right? But you go home and you live in a house that may be full of dust. You live in a house that may have some mold. You live in a house that you forgot to clean out the fireplace if you are lucky enough to have a fireplace. And so that irritation environmentally, if you will, are impacting your body's ability to fight. What happens if you're in a place like Buffalo, New York? Why am I picking on Buffalo, New York? Well, because I grew up south of Buffalo in a place called Jamestown, New York. And Buffalo had a problem. It had the highest number of different types of cancers at one point than any place else. How does that happen? Well, one of the questions I ask patients all the time is, where did you grow up? Where do you live now? What was the work that you did? Well, in Buffalo, New York, there was a plant called Bethlehem Steel. So they produced steel for this country, one of the largest manufacturers, but they produced it from coal burning fires. The ovens were stoked with that. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, the byproduct of coal burning is something called mercuric oxide, and it's the most deadly form of mercury that you can get, and it goes into the system. Many of you remember something called Love Canal, and that's because of all the dumping that was put into the river systems and the waterways and so forth. Western New York at one point had 13 toxic waste sites that were embedded into the artesian water system. And guess what happens? Now you drink the water and you get that done. The Western New York area was known for another thing. Paul Harvey, if you remember him way back in the day, an old broadcaster, said that area was known for the least numbered days of full sunshine of any place else in the United States. Guess what happens? Your vitamin D goes around your toenails. Without vitamin D, your immune system is depleted. With that, now you show up with all kinds of different things. You were in a Ohio River Valley where they were producing cars and manufacturing different types of other things as well. The acid rain that we talked about back in the day came from that. So that's the environmental impact. The water that we drink. How many communities you grow up with there's fluorides in the water and the other different runoffs. And well, they're okay for, as long as there's so many parts per million, we're safe. Well, so many parts per million over a period of time accumulate in your body. How about if you're living in an area called a water reclamation area? What does that mean? A water reclamation area simply means that the water that comes from your toilet is being reprocessed and put also back into your drinking water, so many parts per million. Now, they try to get everything out, supposedly, but one of the things that they can't get out are hormones. So ladies, when you were taking your hormone replacements or you were taking your birth control pills or any kind of estrogens of any sort, you only use a small part of it. The rest of it, you urinated out into the water. And it's one of the most difficult things to get out of water. So subsequently, what you're doing is you're reintroducing these things back into your body. And subsequently, what? We have the cancers and we have the other problems that come about because of that. So the environmental impact around us is critical when we look at somebody who has whatever disease and based on the symptom processes that they have. And so we have to ask that question, where did you grow up? What have you had exposures to? How about those of you who've had huge numbers of vaccines in your body? Well, today's world, we know that, and we've said repetitively, children, if they follow the schedule, get up to about 70 or plus different vaccinations or doses of vaccines in their body if they follow the schedule. There's huge numbers of adjuvants. Adjuvants are stabilizers. They're things like mercury and aluminum that are there, and they cause neurological damage. Those of us who have been exposed to certain vaccines can end up with Guillain-Barré, which is a paralysis of the nervous system. Not okay. So we have to ask the question, what's our environment like? Where did we live? What exposures? How do we grow up? And so forth. Back in the first Gulf War, I used to see a lot of patients that had been over there, and supposedly there was no biological weaponry that was there. Well, that was a lie, as we know about today. And these poor guys would come back and they would have these bizarre symptoms, and they were only traceable to the fact that they were over in the Middle East for a period of time. And they would say that these backpack warning systems would go off, their ringers, and the commanders would say, well, it's they're failing, they're not working the way they're supposed to. The truth of it was they were, but it was another situation where things were being covered up, unfortunately. So your environment, how you live, what you're exposed to, has a tremendous impact on your body's capacity to exist unharmed. Let's talk about other environmental conditions. Anything that's from the outside that affects your body inside, right? So an environmental pack is what? Guess what? It's the drugs that you take as well. We talked about hormones, but other drugs, all the biologics that are out there, they're suppressing immunological function to the extent that you end up with these different types of where this condition come from type of scenario. So I want to walk you through a little bit. I want to talk to you a little bit about what really happens to your body over a period of time and how you can help yourself. See, if you let something go too long without dealing with it, without confronting it, pretty soon your system is going to show the end product of that. What's that? Well, first, I don't feel good. I got a bad headache. My libido's down. Guys, you have erectile dysfunction. Ladies, your hormones are off. You're going into, different states of aberration with those types of conditions. Oh my God, I have a cancer and I don't know where that came from. It's just, I've tried to live well, but how about the foods that we're eating? So you have to start by cleaning things up. And what you do is you start buying foods that are clean foods, that are organic, that are free range, that have not been exposed to other runoffs in their environment. Those are critical pieces of the puzzle. You have to make sure you fuel the system the right way. You have to make sure you get some exercise. We've told our patients for years and years and years that if you walk 2 miles every day, just 2 miles, doesn't make any difference how fast you are or how you walk it, but it's 2 miles. Go for a little saunter. You have a 50% chance, less chance of dying from a disease process than somebody who doesn't walk. Just walking. It's not a lot of exercise, is it? You're going out and you're going for a walk. How about if you take the time and really brush your teeth and floss your teeth gently, and I say gently every night. Why is that useful? Because it gets the debris out of in between the gum line and you don't have the bacterial infection. Let's make our body alkaline when we're brushing our teeth. How do we do that? Instead of the normal, if you will, toothpaste that we go out, go get yourself a bottle or a box of baking soda and put that in a little bottle, add some Celtic salt, shake it up together, get a little bottle of peroxide, wet your toothbrush with the peroxide, put it in the powder that you just made of the baking soda and the salt, and brush your teeth with that. It's alkalizing. It helps bacteria. It helps kill bacteria, and your body's in a much better place for it. How about making sure your microbiome, which is 75 to 80%, depending on the author that you read, of your immunological response. Your microbiome is your intestinal tract. That's all the good bacteria. Take a very good probiotic every day. So if you did nothing but those things, you begin to change. And remember, we have to watch our foods. We started out the program talking a little bit about that. Make sure you're eating clean. Make sure you're eating grass-fed, organic, free-ranged eggs and beefs and so forth. And I'm going to tell you another piece that everybody loves their pork. but you need to stay away from the pork. It's the dirtiest, filthiest animal that we have in our food chain. And as a result, you're absorbing everything this animal has put in their body. Like what, you say to yourself? Well, like the fact that a pig, when it's raised as a group, they eat their own feces. And that's loaded with parasites. And guess what? That gets into the pig, and when you eat it, you get that. They put nitrates on it, nitrates, and supposedly to stop the manifestation of the parasite, but it doesn't kill the larvae, it doesn't kill the egg. And so now you have the ability, perhaps potentially, to generate a parasitic condition that will give you other types of presentations. So you're beginning to understand what happens. You're beginning to see how the body begins to, you know, become broken, if you will, become more susceptible, if you will, over a period of time. How about if we drink too much? How much, and we're not drinking good things. I stopped drinking U.S. wines a long time ago. I like a little glass of red wine. I'll drink some French wine. I'll drink some Italian wines. But why did I stop drinking U.S. wines, except for a few boutique wineries? It's because of the glycophates, the Roundup that they use across the board. That's one of the reasons that Europeans, particularly in the EU, will not accept U.S. agricultural products into their country because our food is so bad. So you have to be careful. You have to take the time. You have to be, very, if you will, attentive to what you put in your system. It's incredibly important that you take control, that you become the driver. You become the one that judges this. Coming up in a few weeks, we're going to do another in-house program that I'm going to tell you more about. It's simply on immunological responses. You can find out about it by going to rosellecare.com or drtomroselle.com, and you'll see a little bit more information on that. And make sure that you take advantage of our in-house programs. We do them for you, and we don't charge for them. All we ask is a reservation. Reserve the seat so we can prepare for you, so we make sure we have enough data and information for you. And those of you who've been to the classes before understand that we give a huge amount of data and information. And this one, as we go through, is going to be on pain patterns and chronic pain, things like fibromyalgia and myofascial disease and so forth. So why did I do that based on what I'm talking about with immunological responses? Because if your immune system is not working the way it's supposed to, your pain will never go away. Let me give you an example. If you have a problem in your neck and your shoulders, if you have a problem that is just always there, it could be for a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons, straight up, has to do with your exposures externally. It can be the things that you're breathing in your body, because we know that the lung meridian goes to that area. It could simply because of ongoing absorption of toxins in your system. So what I want you to know is that you have to be aware of your environment, of the things that you do. And if you're not, you're going to be in a twix of an ongoing insult, dropping your immunological function. Now, one of the things I want you to do, I want you to go to drtomroselle.com and go to the Asia's Health website, or if you will, the B&B site, our store. And you're going to find some things there that can really impact your health and make it stronger. Take advantage of them. If you have a question, reach out, go to drtomroselle.com and send me a note, and I'll tell you my opinion. Those of you who, listen to these podcasts, these live streams, some of you are way across the country, and some of you are actually overseas, which I was very happy to hear about. But you need to know where to get products. Send me a note, and I'll tell you what laboratories are the best. I'll tell you, who to stay away from. And some of them may fly in your face. There's guys out there that are telling you to do certain things that I don't agree with. And I want you to understand that the more you know, the more you can control your health. And that's the way it really is supposed to be. So having said that, look, At the end of the day, I'm here to bring you the most important information on your health, meaning that I'm giving you the tools to resolve, restore your health that was given to you by your creator so it doesn't begin to break down and it doesn't begin to predispose you to cancers. And it doesn't predispose you to other degenerative diseases, doesn't predispose you to memory loss as we move through the years. And sometimes it happens way before that. And if you have a question, if you wanted to ask me my opinion on a vaccine, if you want to ask my opinion on a medication or a condition or something that's been bugging you and staying with you for a period of time, I'm happy to do that. All you have to do is reach out and ask. If you want to talk to somebody immediately, you can always go to rosellecare.com and ask to talk to one of our doctors, or simply call 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. And tell them have somebody call you. They'll talk to you. It's not a problem. More than happy to do that. But give us a jingle. Listen, always, those of you who are out there and you have organizations and you have clubs, we work with a foundation called Caring for Others. Caring for Others does some very special things. They have help people who have nothing. They provide scholarships to young people who are going to natural healthcare schools like acupuncture, like naturopathic medicine, like chiropractic, and we serve them, and we'd like you to help us serve them. But if you'd like to have us come out and do a presentation to your club, to your church, to your organization, a group of 10 people that our guys have never talked to before, we're happy to do that because our job is to serve our community and to give as much back as we possibly can. Having said that, I hope that helps you. Listen over the next few weeks. We have a great series of informational healthcare programs coming up. I think you're going to enjoy them. If you want to hear something, go to drtomroselle.com. Tell us what you're interested in, and we'll try to work it in as we can over a period of time. Having said that, this program is for you. The reason that we do it ongoingly is one reason only. You deserve it, and I love you all. You have a great day. We'll see you soon.